from the other candidates? And how have you educated and prepared yourself in the issues facing the school system?
First off, I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight, taking time out of what I know is a very, very busy schedule with family. My challenge is to boil down 40-plus years of experience into 2 minutes, and that is a bit of a challenge. But I do bring to the board, I think, 40 years of business experience where I was responsible for managing major organizations, budgets, staffing, and in fact, frequently found ourselves in the situation where we had more things to do than money to do it. So we had to make some very tough decisions as to what we were going to do. We had to develop some methodology for prioritizing what it was we were going to do to give us the biggest bang for the buck. I had executive responsibility for a central engineering organization for a large oil company, and we were responsible for building facilities all over the world, both in the United States and Canada and Africa and other places like that. The other thing I did as part of my business career is manage what I'll call performance improvement efforts, using some quality process-focused tools. And as a result of the work I did, both as my business and company experience and my consulting business after I retired, as a result of that effort, I was selected to be an examiner for the Baldrige National Quality Award. That award was, or that program caused people, or tried to help people improve their performance. We did it for business. There is now, if we're interested in being an education for performance excellence, here are the ground rules, here are the things that we could do in this community. Had a lot of experience with universities, and in terms of the second part of the question, my time is up.
I see the audience kind of leaning forward, and I know that all of you have fairly large voices, but why don't we try and move the mic along? Kathy, will you just grab the mic if you're
Sure. Is this good? You still hear me? Yes. Thank you. All right, so I'm Kathy Rogers, and I would like to join Joe in thanking advocates for sponsoring this event, and I would like to thank everyone for coming. And thanks to Bruce for moderating and preparing that nice introduction. I've lived in Whitefish Bay for 16 years, and my husband and I have one child, a son, who attended Cumberland Elementary School and now is a 6th grader at the middle school. And I think what I bring to the board most significantly that sets me apart is a long career as an educator, which means training in education, a lot of professional experience in education, and a good deal of community service related to education. So again, like Joe, I will not go through my whole resume. I'll try to honor his example of choosing the most relevant parts. I have an undergraduate degree in secondary education, high school, social studies, and history. I also have a reading certification. I have graduate degrees in master's degrees in higher education, administration, and counseling. I have high school and college teaching experience, and 18 years as a college administrator at 2 very different types of institutions, Indiana University of Bloomington, a very large public institution, and Milwaukee School of Engineering here in Milwaukee, a very small private institution. When our son entered 1st grade, I became a substitute teacher here in Whitefish Bay as well as in Shorewood. So I have, as a result of that, knowledge of our schools, of our community, and the expectations of our community. In terms of related community service, when my son was a younger child, he was at the UWM Children's Center, and I served on their advisory board. I was a member of the Cumberland Parent-Teacher Council when my son was at Cumberland School. I had the great fortune to serve on the district's Social Studies Curriculum Review Committee as a parent representative, which gave me a lot of knowledge about our teachers. And I was most recently the president of Advocates for Education. And my time is up. Thank you.
My name is Jerry Steele, and I think what sets me apart from the other candidates is probably my long tenure in the public schools. My children have been in the public schools for 11 years. I've been on the Advocates for Education Board for 6 years. I've served on the Richards PTO for 3 years, and I've volunteered in a number of capacities. In addition to the work that I do in the schools, I've also attended school board meetings on a regular basis and attended workshops with other school districts in southeastern Wisconsin to learn about the challenges that they face and how we can learn and strategize to do a better job in our district. And I've also taken the time to meet with legislators to discuss funding issues, state funding issues that impact our district. I would be lying if I said I haven't spent a lot of time studying since declaring my candidacy in January. This is something I am passionate about. I think that offering the most we can to our kids is probably one of the greatest honors that I could have. And in addition to my work in the schools, I also have been a member of the Civic Foundation Board of Directors for 6 years. I really love this community. I believe in service to this community. And I love these kids. I want to give them the very best that I can and serve on the board.
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here, because it's always great to be able to talk to people who care about our kids that are the adult community, because most of the time I'm focused with the little crowd. And now, with the blessings of my son and my daughter, I've been focused with the future voting crowd and the people that I really hope are going to come back to this village and raise their children here. And that's really important to me. So I want to thank you for being here, but I also want to thank Mr. Kesselman for introducing us, because one of my things that separates me from the candidates is sometimes I confuse being Miss Debbie with being Debbie Friends with being Debbie Tarrant, because they all do different jobs. Debbie Tarrant ran a 911 emergency dispatch center in Kenosha County under strict budget restrictions with cops and firefighters, the first female, the first civilian, and it was a tough road, and we did it on tough budgets. And then at 38, this handsome guy who didn't have hair, so I got a kid who had a lot of hair, stepped into my life and turned my world around and told me, "You're going to be a mom." And this raging feminist all of a sudden couldn't jump out of airplanes anymore or ride motorcycles anymore, because the most important thing to me was those 2 kids. And I'm humbled by the credentials of the people around me, because I was on that fast track. But for 20 years, nothing has been more important to me than Lindsay, Casey, my husband, maintaining my marriage, and being a first teacher for many of your children. And those kids haven't graduated yet, and I want them to have an education and an opportunity that my husband had, that his father before him had, that his grandfather had when he built one of the first houses in Whitefish Bay. And I think we have a tradition of excellence. We have 3 fine candidates running against me, but I think I'm the best because I'm a mom who really wants to work for our kids. And I'm hoping that'll be enough to win a few votes. Thank you.